No worries. So thanks everyone for coming for tonight's info session. It's my privilege to be able to share this business system with you. And I know it's like Judy said, it's a bit of a warm night tonight here in Melbourne. So forgive the short sleeves as well. It's an old building that I'm in. So just really value your time for actually making it today. For those of you in Singapore, Malaysia, it's after work and you've had to make some sacrifices. And for those of you in Melbourne, it's late, maybe cutting into bedtime. So I'm going to make it worth your while today in the next 45 minutes or so as I do this presentation. So first, I think why don't I introduce myself and so my daughter's singing in the background. It's quite funny. Not sure if you can hear her. So just a quick intro of myself. My name is Ken Fong, and in my day job, I actually wear a few hats. One of which is that I'm an acoustics consultant, acoustic and vibration specialist. I'm currently working on one of the largest public transport projects we've ever seen in Melbourne. So that's the Melbourne Metro project. So I lead the station acoustics design team and the in-carriage noise design. So that's actually the sort of tunnel acoustics. Um, and that's one role I play. The other role that's also growing is that I lead the healthy buildings design team in Arab. And in that role, what I do is I consult to organizations, projects, communities, cities, and we try to incorporate healthy building design principles into their developments or projects. And that centers around 10 concepts, and that's healthy air, water, healthy nourishment, light, movement, how do you get as much exercise movement as possible through good building design, thermal comfort, acoustics, materials, how do you support strong social connections and community, and then also the mind, how do you actually promote mental health through design principles. So but that's not why you're here today. You're not here to hear about my day job. You're actually here to hear about this thing we call the shopping annuity. And for many of you, you're not listening necessarily for yourself. You're listening to see if you knew someone else who might be right for the system. You're helping out a friend, and certainly the person who invited you to the call thought highly enough of you and trusted you, to have a look at this system, right? Because you're someone that they can sort of depend on. So thank you for making the time. A little bit of background about myself, another part of myself, and how it links to tonight's presentation is perhaps a part maybe some of you who are my friends don't even know about, which is my entrepreneurial side or my business side. And I think it's important maybe just to introduce that as I start the presentation. So I'll start with a story. And this is going back many years ago now. When I was about, 12, 13, can't remember exactly when, I got a book from my dad. And that book was called Multiple Streams of Incomes by a gentleman called Robert G. Allen. And in this book, he talked about the many ways that we actually leak money, right? So the analogy he used, and it will stick with me for the rest of my life, is that of a bucket. So imagine this bucket, right? That represents our lives. And at the bottom of the bucket are all these holes. So it's riddled with holes. And of course, there's some water in this bucket, but it's leaking out the bottom of it. Now, the thing that's interesting about this bucket is that for most of us, we have one, perhaps two ways that water fills this bucket. And that's representative of our income. So we have a few ways money comes in, many ways it flows out. Think about everyday lives, right? Think about your expenses and how we actually drip money. We have to spend money on clothing. We have to spend money purchasing electronic goods. We have to spend money on rental, public transportation, food, groceries, right? Bills, insurance, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So these are perhaps what we can call residual expenses. They happen, right? Whether or not you want it to happen, just by the fact that we are living, they are residual expenses. So in this book, there was a term that really stuck with me. And when I heard it, I thought this is definitely the goal when you talk about financial futures. It's this term called residual income. Residual income is quite interesting, right? It's actually money you get regardless or not of whether you actually continue putting in the time you spend developing it in the first place. So think of it as this engine, right, that consistently generates income for you. Right? It takes a little bit of time at the start to create this engine, right? But once you remove your effort, this engine constantly generates income, right? And it was a phenomenal concept for a young kid. I remember as soon as I saw that, I heard that, I thought this is phenomenal. What is this? This sounds like magic. And of course, all of us know certain types of residual income, right? Think of royalty from songs. So you write a song, you take a long time to develop it, you get it out into market, and once it hits the big time, you consistently get paid money, whether or not you keep performing that song, right? Or think of it as, say, IP, that you have intellectual property. You invent something, right? You sell it off to another company. That company commercializes it, and then that product gets on sold to the market. It generates millions and millions. For every product that gets sold, you get some royalty as well. Right? Those are just some examples. Some residual income as well could be rental, right? Rental property. You spend a lot of time up front developing it. You pour tons of money, but we have time, perhaps maybe even developing a property, and at the end of a period, you get residual income. So when I found out about that concept, I thought this is an absolute must-have. Right? This has to be my financial goal. So, along my whole journey, I've actually tried my hand at all kinds of different businesses, right? And many of them I don't really talk to, even to talk about. Sorry, even to friends. I've tried my hands at like forex trading. I've set up my own sort of telemarketing type operation. Tried my hand at like commodities trading, share trading, indices, um, whatever the stock market, right? I've operated like traditional businesses as well, where the overheads are like 5-figure every single month, right? There's one in particular I remember, if I didn't generate a revenue of about 2,000 plus, 2002, 2,300 AUD per day, I was in the red, right? So that was a family operation. Tried my hand at sort of import export, and so many of these things, you make a lot of money, you lose some money, right? I've made thousands, I've lost thousands. And of course, like anyone chasing residual income, you end up with what is known as like multi-level marketing or network marketing. Now, the thing that's really attractive about multi-level marketing type systems, right, is the power of leverage. But the problem with multi-level marketing, network marketing, is that the promise is much greater than the return. And maybe some of you have actually participated in that, and just like me, you've actually tried your best and you've got burned. And I'm here to say it's not your fault, right? Sometimes it's not your lack of effort that doesn't make it happen. It's a system, right? Everything rises and falls on system. That's just business. The hardest thing to create in business is system, right? It's not about finding a product. It's not about finding employees. Some of these are tough, but the system, everything rises and falls on the system. And so what I'm going to be talking about today is a really attractive system that caught my attention, and as an engineer, I had to evaluate this many, 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 many times, right? I was in your position, for many of you seeing this for the first time, with a very skeptical mind, interrogating it, because I've been burned by all these kinds of like network marketing, MLM type systems, all kinds of different business ventures. So I understand, right? But what I will say is, as we dive into this presentation, that you keep an open mind, right? Like we say, the mind only works like a parachute when it's open, right? So just evaluate this. You're here, you can just sit back, relax, enjoy your mojito, right? And it's just an info session. It's just pure information. Uh, get as much as you can, and hopefully we'll see you sort of in part two, if there's something in here that you find worth your while. So having said all that, I'm going to dive into this concept we call the shopping annuity. Okay. What is a shopping annuity and how can I own one? That's a great question, right? That's literally where we jump in to answer that question, we've got to understand some key terms. First is this term we call annuity. An annuity is actually a financial term, right? It's basically a process or a system by which you get fixed payments at a specified time for a specified length of time. Okay. However, in order to get to that stage where you are given fixed payments, it could be monthly, could be quarterly, could be annually, right? You actually have to invest into it. That could be an investment of time or money. And in most cases, you fund an annuity with uh, fixed sum payments that actually come from discretionary income. I'll give you an example, right? One example of an annuity could be the income you make from property, right? Certainly, I'm speaking from an Australian perspective, right? So I'm a property investor myself. Now you invest in property, okay? And at the end of it, you hope that yes, you do it for capital appreciation, but also eventually it can be a cash flow play, right? That means the rental that you get due to growth, right, actually exceeds whatever expenses go in that you have to pay for, right? But to do that, you actually have to create and pump in money twice or more. Well, once is when you actually make the purchase of the property, right? And actually, ongoing, right? There are funds that you put into it, repairs, for example, right? Agents' fees, right? Even the rental, for example. And many people, like here in Australia, it's a negatively geared property, which means that your expenses exceed your income at the start. But you have to make some kind of payment, right, in order to generate this income on the other side. Okay. So that's a traditional annuity. That's one example, or a fixed deposit. That's another traditional annuity. But to counter that is what we call this thing called the shopping annuity, right? And what it is, it's a revolutionary concept where you fund this system not with discretionary money. And discretionary money, remember, is money you have left over after you pay for your expenses, right? No, you fund it with money you're shopping anyway, right? Anyway, dollars that you spend shopping. So what changes then, right? What's the give? Now it begins certainly by adjusting shopping behaviors. And to explain that, I think we talk about two concepts that are so stark and so in the public consciousness at the moment, which is left brick and mortar shopping versus on the right hand side click and order. Okay. Feel free to use the chat for this question, right? But just in the last 3 months, can I just get some comments, right? I just want to sort of gauge this a bit. Who here has probably spent, no, the question is this, where have you spent most of your time shopping, right? In just the last 2-3 months, brick and mortar or click and order, right? I just want to see just some responses, right? In this group here, there's quite a few of you today. What is it? Coming up to 20, right? We know brick and mortar certainly has been established for a long time, but online shopping, e-commerce, that is absolutely taking the world by storm, right? So I've read a few reports that say really we are 5 years ahead of where we should be, right? In just the last 6 months, e-commerce, online retailing has just exploded. Globally now, we're coming to more than 15% of every single thing purchased being online, right? One day it's going to be 50%, one day it will be at least 3/4, right? This is the reality. Brick and mortar is getting more expensive. We're already seeing shops shut down. And certainly with the pandemic over the last few months, that's just accelerated the death of brick and mortar. So the choice really is, right, in the shopping community, how do we make purchases online? Right. If you take an example of this room, for example, let's say this TV here. How would you traditionally purchase a TV, right? If you're talking about brick and mortar, you're walking in a store, maybe you've done some online research anyway, right? You had to jump in your car, drive off to the shop, park, battle traffic perhaps on the way, right? Get out of the car, stand in queue now because you're in COVID, right? Wait for the shop assistant to actually let you in, walk over to where it is, make the purchase, get up to the counter, pay for it, and then either transport the TV back or organize another lot of payment, which is in delivery fees, right? And then wait probably another 3 days for that TV to arrive in anyway. All right. So in all that time, yes, you got a product, right? If you didn't do your online research, you were just restricted to what's there in the store to check out, right? That's a really slow way. And I'm sure, right? And I'd love to hear your comments in the chat as well. Just the last few months, once you get a taste of what online shopping is, right? You're just never going to go back. So instead of purchasing things traditionally, is there a better way to make your online purchases, right? And so really it comes down to this simple choice, right? We either continue to spend money like we have, right? We pay retail prices, we get a product, yes, but we just make other companies and other business entities wealthy. Or, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, which one you think is better, right? Left blue or right green? Right green is you convert your spent dollars, money you are already purchasing things with anyway, put it into the shopping annuity concept and use that to generate residual income. So just want to hear, right? Which one do you prefer? Left, traditional, right, shopping annuity concept, online shopping. Now, introducing the shopping annuity. So today, what we're going to hear is just the overview. And on Thursday, my colleague Kitty, who's actually on this call as well, will actually introduce the math mechanics and the mechanisms, right, behind how this system actually works, right? So today is just a brief overview. Like I said, it's going to be a fairly quick one. And then, if you're interested, if there's something here that intrigued you, come for Thursday. I encourage you to do so. Firstly, a real quick introduction. What is this company that operates the shopping annuity, right? It's called Market Australia or shop.com. What it is, it's a system that allows entrepreneurs, people like you, me, doesn't even matter your background, right, to become financially independent. But it does so, and the value it adds to market is by giving consumers a much better way to shop, right? So it combines two twin pillars, amazing pillars. One is the revolutionary power of technology, online shopping, e-commerce, right? Cashback system. I'll talk a bit more about that. And also the power of people, right? So, like I said, this system is powered by people just like you and I, right? Think of it as like a social network, like Facebook, like Instagram, those kind of things, right? Now, I touched briefly on some trends that we're already seeing, and I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about these four, right? The first is quite obvious, retail stores collapsing. And even before we headed into this period of crisis with the pandemic, right, we already saw retail stores collapsing. We already saw traditional retail going downhill, all right? Now it's actually accelerated that trend. Why? Because of a counter trend, which is the rise in online sales. And they are counter cyclical. As online sales goes up, traditional brick and mortar sales is going to go down, right? The third trend, and we see this, and you're probably experiencing this already, right? One-to-one marketing is replacing mass marketing. So what's an example of mass marketing? Those are the ads you see between in the ad breaks, right, in free-to-air TV. Those are the huge posters, right, that you see at the side of a bus. And certainly there is a place for them. Companies still spend millions and millions of dollars on mass marketing. But just think of it this way. When is the last time you made a conscious purchasing decision based on mass marketing that you saw? Just think about that, right? See if you can think immediately of a decision, right? Rather think then on one-to-one marketing. And what do we mean by that, right? That's the marketing that Facebook uses. Remember when you search a term in Google, as soon as you do that within a couple of minutes, boom, all the ads in flyers and in banners on websites all change to suit that particular search term, right? Or you might get customized email marketing based on your purchases. You may not even realize that, right? You always feel like, oh, how do these marketers know exactly what I want, right? The intelligence behind that one-to-one marketing is taking the world by storm, right? And certainly the online spend and marketing dollars in that sector is going to replace mass marketing. Then we have the rise of entrepreneurship. And we have seen, certainly in the last few months, just an increased interest in entrepreneurship and more people realizing that their jobs just can't offer the stable income that they may have previously associated with it. So everyone now has a side hustle. Everyone's trying to make that extra dollar. I've got some friends who are like selling groceries, from their homes, right? Like sort of off-market groceries and things like that. Everyone's trying to get a side hustle, right? And so what I wanted to say, these four trends come together beautifully, and Market Australia is perfectly positioned to take on and sort of address these four trends. So we use the term unfranchise, right? And it's a made-up term. I'll explain what it means. So, like a franchise, it has systemized, standardized, and uniform sort of systems, right? It's duplicatable. It's a proven management system, just like some franchises, KFC, McDonald's, Subway, right? It works. Then you have professional marketing tools that are developed centrally. So franchise owners don't actually have to spend effort, time, or money developing these tools, right? And on top of that, branding and increased visibility is offered because all that once again is handled centrally. So those are the good things about franchises, which is why people spend considerable big dollars paying for franchises, just the right to do business, right? Even before they generate a single dollar. However, unlike a franchise, right, this business is very, very different. So yes, we take the best of franchising framework, but we don't have franchise fee or royalties. Right? Some businesses, if you sell one product, you pay a percentage cut on every single product that you retail. Right? The system has minimal startup expenses. We're not talking about, say, $150,000 you may associate with some franchise fees, right? That's even before you get anything. That's just the right to do business, remember, right? Uh, we're talking a small, small amount. Potential tax advantages. You are going to start a company. So any expense associated with the generation of that income is tax deductible. You don't have large monthly overhead businesses. You don't have staff, for example. You're not restricted by territory. You can do business in any of the countries that Market America operates in, right? And then the thing I really got attracted to, because for me, my highest value is time, right? My highest value is how I spend my time and how I use that to pursue the things I'm really passionate about. You start part time, you can, right? And you have the flexibility that you want to put into it, right? And it's low risk, and that's directly proportional to how much you put into the business, right? So the company itself is Market America Worldwide. It's a global product brokerage company. It's an internet marketing company and specializes in one-to-one marketing. So it's headquartered in Greensboro, North Carolina. And there are over 850 staff globally. So people like myself, who's an internet franchise owner, like Kitty, like Judy, we're not actually staff. Just to clarify, we're essentially internet franchise owners, right? And there are operations in the 8 countries that are listed here. Certainly, the largest region by number of countries is the APAC region. So that's in Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Taiwan, and of course Australia. Now, I want to bring your attention to this thing we call the Torch Award. And the A plus rating, first, given by this organization called the Better Business Bureau. Think of it as an ISO certification firm, but for businesses, right? So it's a third party certifying entity, right, that looks and rates companies based on the trust that their customers give to them, based on their financial and commercial performance, and based on the integrity they have, right, and how they handle customer complaints, and how they keep to their marketing promises, and delivering product that they promise to the quality they say they will. So the highest rating you can get as an organization is A plus, and Market America Worldwide has that A plus rating. And for context, a company like Amazon is a B, right? And that's a huge company. It's not even an A plus. On top of that, A plus rated companies, the best, go into running for this thing they call the Torch Award. And the Torch Award is like a gold medal at the Olympics, but for businesses, right? You are the best of the best, best in class in category, right? So the company's not won it once, which is rare enough. It's won it twice, 2013 and 2018, which is phenomenal. This next slide here is talking about the company's earnings, and right from its inception, 1992, right to where we are today, that's over 28 years now of doing business. The accumulated retail sales in Australian dollars is in excess of 15.5 billion. That's a B, right? But the interesting thing is its distribution to internet owners, internet franchise owners such as myself, other people on the call, is more than half of that figure. That's more than 50% goes back to retail profits and commissions. I mean, like, where do you find a system that actually pays its franchise owners, that kind of profit, right? And half of that comes from retail profits and half of it comes from commissions. And Thursday we actually explain how those numbers are made up as well, right? uh there are thousands of franchise owners, like us. We're earning anywhere from like 300 to 600 per week. And I mean, what I'd like to say is just think about what you could do with that, even if it's 300 a week, right? What does that mean to you? And of course, for those who are a bit more ambitious, they can actually expand to scale their income. And certainly on this call, I know there are, one person in particular who earns, in excess of like $35,000 a month. And there are more than 500 franchise owners just like that who have earned, in excess of $1.4 million in commissions, right? And that number grows every month as well. So there are three sort of key pillars I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about two here first, right? One is a product brokerage company, and it's important to understand what that is because that is so fundamental for sustainability of this company. That means the company doesn't manufacture its own products. It holds the intellectual property, it holds the proprietary research on it, but it actually outsources the manufacturing. And that's really important. Like, my dad is in the manufacturing business. And I remember when COVID struck, it was really, really difficult. Why? Because you get paid on consignment. That means if you don't deliver product, your income is zero. Your costs keep going, but your income is zero, right? Being a product brokerage company, you're not exposed to that risk. And because you're not exposed to that risk, what that means is that you can be flexible enough to move with market trends. You can add new products really rapidly. All you got to find is a really reputable manufacturer, right, who's able to deliver, right? That means you can stock hundreds of exclusive products and services, right? That means you're not exposed to the market risk of just one line of products, right? And that means you can participate in the biggest markets, just like this company does, right? Multi-billion dollar markets, every single market it participates in. That's one pillar. The second pillar is also really important in that it's an internet marketing company. And like I said, that's what allows it to take advantage of this huge wave of e-commerce we're seeing right now. And on this platform, I'm going to show a quick demo later how it actually works. There are hundreds of partner stores and there are millions of products, right? And the best thing is everyone can register as a customer for free, right? And you get cash back on every purchase you do. So, don't think about the internet franchise owners you're helping out. Think about yourself, right? What can you do with extra cash back just by buying things you're purchasing anyway? So just to expose this a bit more, here are some stats, right? The average income after taxes, if you think about the money you spend on food, housing, apparel, transportation, healthcare, entertainment, right? Your average expenditure would be $74,000, give and take. And the average household, right, would have an income after tax of about 77,000. So think of it, the difference there is what we call discretionary income. And of course, this is different for every household. I'm not saying everyone's in this situation, but this is just averages, right? So on average, a household would have at the end of a year something like, let's say $3,000 to $5,000, right? Now, what if you could use some of that money that you're already spending on things you have to buy anyway? Think about takeaway food. Think about groceries you have to buy. Think about the clothes for your kids, right? Think about personal care products. You're consuming them every single day, right? Think about uh, transportation, right? Now, as Victoria and Australia is opening up again, we're going to start traveling. Think about the travel fees, right? You're going to do hotels that you book. Think about the car rental when you want to travel as you go, to a regional location, perhaps. right? Think about insurance, entertainment, all these things you're buying anyway. What if you could redirect just like say a quarter of all that, right? Redirect it to shop.com, empower your shopping annuity. And that brings me to the third pillar, right? And this is the central theme of what we're talking about, the shopping annuity. And that's a revolutionary concept that helps us franchise owners convert spending into earning, just changing mode of purchase, right? So we like to call this anyway money. Like I said, you're going to spend this money anyway. Why not get paid for it, right? And this system, and this is the thing that really attracted me to it, it's a system that essentially tracks all your purchases, right? Anything spent in partner stores from the centralized platform called shop.com, and Market America exclusive products as well, right? That's all hosted on this Enterprise Plus website that I'm going to show you later. When you or anyone you lead to shops online, you get 100% credit for every single purchase as well. It's a phenomenal system, right? Now, to sort of tease this out a bit more, it's important to talk about this thing we call the 4% rule in investment. And any one of you who's engaged a financial advisor would be familiar with this term. But for those of you who are not, essentially 4% rule, it's not really a rule, it's more like a rule of thumb, right? When you look at your capital, your nest egg, you build up all this money, right? And then you come to the time it matures and you can draw on this money, right? The question you would ask naturally is, okay, what percentage can I draw from this without causing me to be bankrupt before I die, right? And that's where this 4% rule of thumb sort of comes in. That's generally for a generalized investment portfolio, the amount you can draw every year, right? While maintaining an income for the rest of your life, right? When you're ready to go. So what does that mean? What it means is let's convert that into what an unfranchised owner might be earning, right? So let's say an unfranchised owner who's at the executive coordinator level earns something like 1,500 a month. That would be equivalent using the 4% rule as a nest egg 450,000. Think about it that way, right? 450,000 of capital, right? Generating income. 1,500 doesn't sound like much, but actually you need 450,000 to be able to generate that. What about someone at a higher level, right? Some of us here are at that level at least $5,000 a month. What does that look like? That's 1.6 million. We'll go straight to director. I'll skip a few levels, right? So we have an executive director here on the call. That's $18,000 a month, right? If you want to convert that into ringgit, just the commission system in Malaysia is slightly different. Just multiply that by 4. That's 72,000 ringgit per month, right? 18,000 AUD a month, a director. That's 5.8 million. I mean, like to think about that number is almost out of reach, right? So think not just about the income, because remember the key here, we're not talking linear income. Linear income is what I'm doing, yes, in my day job, where if I stop working tomorrow, right, I stop getting paid tomorrow. Residual income is a different beast. That is what we're trying to talk about. So for those of you who are kids or thinking about legacy planning, the shopping annuity is also a willable asset, right? And you can actually pass on the system to your kids. Once you generate this, once you create it, right? That becomes essentially something you can hand over to the next generation. And this is something certainly for me, I've got 2 kids, something I'm looking forward to as well. So I just want to introduce you before we jump into a real quick website tour. What is how powerful is this system, right? This shop.com, the online platform, was voted number 11. It was ranked 11 in the universal provider category by Newsweek Best Online Shops 2020. This is a very prestigious online marketing sort of award or listing, right? And in the universal provider company, we're not talking lightweights. We're talking big companies. Target, Costco, Walmart, Amazon, BrandSmart, right? These are huge brands, and it's nothing to be laughed at. That shop.com was ranked number 11 in the world in the universal provider category. So this is a company I'm extremely proud to put my name behind because it has strong, strong digital credibility. Here you actually see some of the slides, of the other awards it's won. Some are phenomenal as well. Ranked, 36th largest global online marketplace in the 2019 Internet Retailer Top 100. Right? We talked about the Newsweek one, uh, and then it's also top 100 in the Internet Retailer Asia awards as well. Right? Top 500. That's also another phenomenal achievement. Right? And then the Grant Thornton, North Carolina, that's also a huge organization. It was ranked number 8, right, in top 100 companies too. So all that's to say, there is some real strong recognition from outside, from industry, on how powerful the shop.com system is. So at this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take you through a bit of a website tour. Uh, can you see this Google search page? Is that what's being showed at the moment? Yeah. All right. So what I'll do is actually take you through what shop.com looks like. So everyone, here, for example, you're going to come into my online shop, right? And what you see here, this is, me being logged in. It's what we call a universal shopping cart. And what it means is that it doesn't just host its own exclusive brand products. Think of it as like a mall without walls, right? Think of it as going to a grocery shop like Giant, right? Think of it as going to like Kohl's or Woolworths. It has its own brands on shelf, but say 80% of the products are other kinds of brands, right? Like your Tim Tams, for example, your Dynamos, right? All these are just brands it stocks on its shelf. Same thing with shop.com, right? Except it's just purely online. So you have a range of exclusive brand products, right? Products that are absolutely phenomenal, like you're never going to find anywhere else. And here are some of the ranges of products. You have the health and nutrition range, right? You have beauty sort of range as well. You've got the motifs, which is the sort of makeup range. You have Lumiere de Vie, which is skincare, and you have Lumiere de Vie Homes. And then you have a section of product for the anti-aging market. And of course, one of my favorites is the isotonics products. And this is actually the reason, I guess the company caught my attention because I used it for my own health. It's completely transformed the health of my kids and myself. And many of as a bit of a health nerd, um, I do a lot of things for my health. So I was quite surprised that this actually made the difference that it did. And then you have the TLS, weight management solution, right? That's a big thing. We're coming up to the end of the year, New Year's, when one of the top resolutions anyone will make is that they want to lose more weight, right? So it's a huge opportunity right there. Then we have, one of the latest products, the Pure Collagen range as well. Then we have jewelry. Then we have sort of some of our home care products. But on top of that, right, how the shopping annuity becomes real is with the online partner stores we have. And some of these are big names, right? Instantly, many of you probably already shop on ASOS. For those in Australia, apologies to Singapore and the Malaysian market, but like you have huge brands as well, for example, and maybe some of the Malaysian and Singaporean franchise owners can actually type in the chat group some of the big brands that you have. For example, in Singapore, you have like FairPrice, NTUC, right? A big store where you can buy your groceries from. Um, and then you have Guardian and Watson in Malaysia, right? So here in Australia, you've got ASOS, AliExpress, and over 700 partner stores, right? So if I clicked on that, for example, that would just bring up a PDF. And if I open up the PDF, you would see it's 14 pages of just partner stores that you'd absolutely take ages to get through, right? So then what you can do, right? And this is what I'll show you. There's another thing called Shop Buddy. And Shop Buddy is really, really powerful. It's an extension to your Chrome, right? And I'll show you what Shop Buddy does. So if you have a look at that tiny little S square there, all right, let me show you what this does, okay? So how does one shop now? Anyway, I guess if you do it on shop.com, let's just show you, right? One way you could get cashback as a customer. So you jump onto my site or you jump onto the site of the person who invited you to the call, for example, right? All you would do is say, let's say you wanted to go 2XU, right? It's a activewear store. I would click on visit partner store, right? It would have a single redirect. You wait about 4 seconds and then it jumps onto a partner store. Here you go. You arrive here. Now, what Shop Buddy does is it tells you, right, whether or not your cashback is activated. And when it's blue, blue is good, red is bad. Blue means anything I do on this website instantly generates cashback for me as just a customer back on the shop.com portal, right? So here, what you do is all you have to do is sign in with a free customer account, and you could just go shopping, right? And you get cashback on every purchase. But the last thing I'll show you is this the power, the real power of Shop Buddy, right? So let's just come up with an example. Coming up to Christmas, maybe one thing we buy now is Christmas decorations. So all I would do is I would go Christmas decorations, right? I'm just doing a standard Google search. Okay, I've not actually done this search term before, so I don't know what's going to come up. And typically you'd see some paid ads up front and you see some promoted sites. You see these banners here, the green, right? Those are websites that are tagged by ShopBuddy. These are natural Google search results that you find. They're not altered in any way. Any natural search result from Google for any product, right, will get tagged. And if I click on that, let's just go there. For example, ShopBuddy does its work again. All I do is I say I activate cashback. I change that from red to blue, and everything I do on this store, exactly same experience, exactly same delivery, exactly the same discounts, On top of that, I get cashback, right? So there's a lot more I'd like to show you, but because of time, just kind of have to motor along now and finish the presentation. We're coming for a landing now, right? So hopefully that was interesting. We talk more about the system on Thursday, like I said. So I want to talk about this thing called a 45-year plan. I won't spend too much time on it, but what I want to say is you might be in this thing we call the 45-year plan. You may not even realize you're in it, right? What is it? It's a plan where you start working at about 20 years old, and then you work for about 45 years, get to the ripe old age of about 65, and that's your plan, right? For financial success. There's one problem with that, right? So if you look at the chart on the right, statistically, right? Statistically, about 28% actually don't even make it to the age of about 65, right? Chronic disease is on the rise. People die before they actually get there. Then you get the 62% which are struggling financially, and that's simply defined as someone who has is not able to maintain their lifestyle as they hit retirement. They actually have to scale down and fairly significantly as well, right? 5% are still working because they just cannot afford not to. And we know people like that, right? Certainly, I know people like that as well. Now, there's the 5%. They're the financially fit. 1% are wealthy, 4% are financially fit, right? So everyone's working according to someone's plan typically, right? You're either using leverage to your advantage or you are someone's leverage, right, for their financial future. Just think about that too. Many of us have debt, right? And so we also then need to look at paying those off. And what we really want is financial security, right? So think about it this way: at about 2% interest rate, right? And that's probably quite high for some countries. You would need to save $600,000 just to generate $1,000 a month. Knowing that, right? One thing that's quite sobering is that actually many people depend on social security or superannuation, but these are statistics, right? In Australia, at least, and I'm sure it's not too different from like the from Malaysia, Singapore, perhaps. 77% of people of Australians over 65, when they hit that age, most of the income comes from pension, right? What does that mean? That's an average of 1,600 per month. In some suburbs, you couldn't even pay rent for that, right? So what we contrast that with here is what we call the 2 to 3 year plan. I'm very specific about this number, the 2 to 3 year plan, right? Thursday, we expose how we actually come up with that number a bit. A plan for your own financial success, right? And you can do this while you're doing your 45-year plan, just like what I'm doing as well. I actually absolutely enjoy what I do with my company, Arab. I love it. It's stimulating, it's challenging. But the one thing for me, if I look at this list of why anyone would want to have financial success, for me, it's about time freedom. For me, it's about buying my time back. And I'm in a position, thankfully, now I've scaled back one day, from Arab. I've bought my time back, right? So that I can actually do the things that I really want to do, right? My passion in wellness, my passion in actually helping people upshift their health, right? But I had to buy it back. And what's your goal? I mean, all of us are different goals, right? All of us have different things we're shooting for. Some of us are trying to just pay off our rent. Some of us are paying off additional debt that we might have. Some of us want to go for an early retirement. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But the key thing that unifies all the internet franchising owners we have here, and franchise owners, is to create residual income. We don't want to have just more linear income, right? If you want to have more linear income, there's another way of doing it. Just get another job. That's not what we're talking about. What we want to do is make sure our effort pays itself over and over and over and over again, many times over, right? And that's residual income. So really, like I said, by the time we come to this end of the presentation, it's just good information transfer. But there's no decision to make, right? And thank you for your time, right? There's only one decision though, I must say, sorry. There's no other decision except this. And that key decision is just to find out how the 2 to 3 year plan works, right? And that's where we say we invest, eventually 8 to 15 hours a week. How can we create a system that allows us to generate 300 to 3600 AUD, right? Or 1200 to, what's the math there? 14,400 ringgit weekly, right? And create a residual income for yourself. And all we have to decide here, really, if you so choose, is just to learn how the 2 to 3 year plan works. That's it, right? So I've really come to the end of my presentation now. Many of you might think, oh, can this work for me? And the key thing is to see if you want to find out more information. That's the main thing, right? Someone told me, a really wise mentor that I trust, he said, look, at the quality of your decisions depends on the quality of information that you have, right? Don't make hasty decisions. And I'll say the same thing to you. Don't decide, yes, I'm doing this, or don't decide, no, I'm not doing this. Just find out a bit more. And so what we have here is a flyer for a presentation that we're doing on Thursday. It's the same time. It goes for a bit longer, right? It goes for 1 hour. I encourage you just to register. There's a link in the chat here as well for the registration link, bit.ly/MELUP12November. Just find out a bit more, right? Like I said, there's no decision to make. It's literally just an information transfer, right? So having said all that, I'm going to stop my share screen and I'm going to hand that back to Judy. I just want to thank you all for your attention. You've been a great audience. And sorry, I took a little longer than I thought I would. But hopefully you've made it worthwhile and hopefully see some of you on Thursday as well. Thanks, Judy.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much by letting us know about like how to do earn residual income. Yes, when we are approached by a right plan, sometimes people consider, oh, if it is a right timing or right condition. But yeah, like what you said for the last slide, sometimes it takes about whether you are the right person and having a right intention, getting the right information, quality information, making the right decision. I would like to invite two people here from our family to share the why, what attracts them to do this business, because people got different intention. So the first person I would like to invite will be Hong Ling.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hong Ling. I'm a project manager. So I've always been in the IT field and work for many years. And the reason I was looking at this business was I got retrenched multiple times, 3 times altogether. So by the time I got retrenched the second time, I was thinking I need to have a backup plan. I need to have something on the side while I was working. And I look and look and look. I cannot find a business that I could do alongside what I was doing. So this came out, and then I was attracted by the products, attracted by the business. So I just say, hey, why not just start it and then see what happens? And here I am. After a few more years. Then here I am, and now that I'm building this business on a full-time basis. Right. So for you, all the guests, I urge you to just look through it, check it for yourself. I ask all the questions, and then come on board. You have nothing to lose. Thank you.
Thank you, Hong. Another person I would like to invite to share with us her why today will be Nancy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Judy, for giving me this opportunity to share. I actually, how did I stumble upon it? It's actually more my son actually who thinks I just recently retired, but now I'm actually doing a consultancy with a company. So my son thinks that, well, since I retired, I got nothing better to do. So he better occupy my time. If not, I'm going to get bored. But the thing, yeah. So what happened was that when I came in to listen to this, um, what attracted me to shop.com is the system. It's about the system that's so amazing, that is so fair. It's fair, and it's something that anyone who even come in, yeah, I mean this has been in the market for 20 odd years, right? Anyone who comes in at a very later stage can still make it. You know, it's a direct selling doesn't have a good connotation, but this is one thing that actually attracted me to it, and I could see where it can go because I have it's also a platform that I could introduce people. I probably needs avenue of residual income that I could actually introduce them to this, because after evaluating the system is nothing like unlike anything else. It's unique. It's truly very, very unique. And I have to cite McDonald's because I worked in McDonald's for 23 years. And one similarity is the uniqueness of the system, that actually it's a philosophy of helping other people to succeed. And it is very possible that you help other people to succeed, and that's how you succeed. And that's the main thing. The other thing is that after being in for 2 months, I find little things that actually even grew my passion. Even for this company actually grew, little things that actually adds up, that you don't even see in even the next presentation or today's presentation. But having gone into it for 2 months already, I see little stuff that actually resonates the value and the core value of the company is all really wanting to actually help people to succeed. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, Nancy. So yeah, I invite you to all register tonight for the Thursday, and we will be presenting you regarding the plan and how this plan will work. Okay, so thank you so much for coming in, spending the hour with us, sharing with you what we found. No matter what intention that brought us in, we are really happy and add some positive intention as well, I suppose, no matter what our individual one was. So that's really great, and really great to have this opportunity to meet all of you, even though we are meeting online. So I hope you have a very safe and nice rest tonight yourself before the storm coming in. Okay, so I hope to see you on Thursday. See ya.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Judy. Good night.
Thank you. Thanks, Judy. See you all. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.